Hey guys, welcome to my channel, XJW Anonymous. I've been wondering if I should actually start a channel to even discuss any of this, but with recent events and the job market the way it is, I feel that I can talk about it. So I'm going to go ahead and share some of my life story with you guys. For some reasons or some things, I won't say my full name first, but you can call me Chaz, right? So this video is not to bash any Jehovah's Witnesses at all or the religion. This is just my personal experience, and I think from some of my experiences, it may help other people out there. So that's why I'm making this video or multiple videos to help whoever may have gone through the same thing that I have gone through. So a little bit about how this video is going to go. I introduce myself, talk about how it was in my childhood, as I was I was born into the religion with being raised by my grandmother. I'll talk about a little bit of my education, my own feelings about the congregations that I was in, my personal beliefs now, even though I think a lot of us are pretty much scorned from being a witness. So we'll talk about that, some of the challenges that I'm facing, and some, if I only know what I know now. So those are just a couple of things that we'll talk about. I do have a little outline here, as you may see me glancing back and forth, but that's just more so of an outline to talk about what I want to talk about. So, as I said, so I was raised as a child to be a Jehovah's Witness, primarily my grandmother and my aunt. So, for me, the earliest memory of being a Jehovah's Witness is, I think all of us, is field service. Field service in those meetings. And at the time that I was going, we were going Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, and then field service was Saturday. Pretty much mandatory. That's kind of like the earliest I remember. And for me, I had a wonderful childhood. There's other things that I'll talk about that pretty much are very personal, but as you guys will see, I'm a very open book. But like I said, everything I think that I've gone through, I can share. Some people may know what I am going through, some may not. But like I said, I'm a very transparent person. For me, I think this will help, just to talk about it. My wife knows that I'm doing this. My wife doesn't come from being a Jehovah's Witness, so for her, sometimes it's hard to understand the things that I'm talking about or that I'll talk to you guys about. So hopefully we'll have some fun. We'll learn. And as you'll see, I'm very open. So, if anybody wants to communicate to me through email or YouTube, I'll link my my social information at the end, or I'll put on the video. So for me, like I said, I was an only child. Well, no, I didn't say that yet, but I was an only child. My mother suffers from mental illness. So she's schizophrenic and bipolar, which, again, a lot of stuff has a lot to do with my experiences, right? So because my mom could not raise me, I was raised by my grandmother, which was a Jehovah's Witness, and my grandfather. My aunt at the time did live with us, so she was involved early in my childhood. But we'll get to that in a little bit. The majority of my life, like I said, I was a very good kid, I think. I think the typical wild boy sometimes, but by 14, I was baptized. By 14 also, I had a worldly girlfriend, but I was still going to the meetings. We weren't doing anything that would have gotten us disfellowshipped. Uh, we'll leave it at that for now. Um, and let's see, my mom, my biological mom, which you'll understand when I say mom, I usually am talking about my grandmother because that's who raised me. So my mom, um, you know, instilled a lot of good qualities in me, and I think if it wasn't for being a witness, I think that I would have got into a lot of other trouble. So I do think it did save me from a lot of heartache. I still did some crazy stuff as a kid. Not anything that I would say that would be labeled as is too crazy. Um, I think one of the things uh, that we always made sure that we had was going to the meetings. Obviously, right? My mom. I think a lot of us can attribute that scripture, 1 Corinthians 15:33, bad associations, spoil useful habits. So that was kind of instilled at me at a young age, and that kind of, I think, as most witnesses, that kind of made you question who your friends were, and a lot of times people said, "Oh, don't hang out with that person; he's worldly or has worldly tendencies." So I think that's something that stuck with me as a practice. Uh, which I think helped me in the long run. So that's a short bit about my childhood. I graduated from high school, um, and as like I said, as I continue guys telling you guys what has transpired, you'll see some of the things I went through. But just giving you like a high level recap of where I'm coming from, because I know a lot of YouTube videos just start off with the problems, and I didn't really want to do that. Coming out, I wanted you guys to understand where I'm coming from first, and then I can go a little bit deeper on some of the stuff that I experienced as a Jehovah's Witness, right? So, education is next on the list. I think a lot of witnesses we know, well, at least as far as I know, still, education is always, or higher education is usually frowned upon. When I mean higher education, I mean um, college, right? So as a kid, for whatever reason, I always liked the commercials for DeVry. So I always told my mom that I would want to go to DeVry when I was able to go, which I actually did. But for me, it wasn't something I enjoyed going to, and kind of dropped out, right? So typical witness, I did a certificate school, even though I could have went to a very popular school out here because my grandmother worked there. I did not, and that's something that I definitely is going. I'm going to talk about as far as my YouTube channel and some of the experiences that if I only know what I know now back then. But we'll get into that later. So went to a university. Well, went to a school called DeVry, which now is kind of big, DeVry University. And then I transferred to Chubb, and just did like a network technician certificate, which really meant nothing, really did nothing. My whole career has been experience, right? So I'm in IT, for those that want to know. Um, Recently laid off, so now I'm taking the time to, talk to you guys about a lot of stuff. I think it may help me. But yeah, school, that was it, right? So I have no college degree. I have experience. I I was making good money. I think I can get back to it, right? But with that being said, usually when you leave the organization, a lot of us are kind of, you know, afraid, I guess it was, or, we suffer from PTSD from being a witness. And I think a lot of people don't understand if you weren't a witness, especially if you weren't born. Oh, I wouldn't say that, but I would say if you were born into the religion, I think it's a little bit of different twist than if you came from outside first. But and that's not to scorn anybody or talk negative about somebody that just came in from outside. Um, we all have our different experiences with that. So um, outside of school, my personal beliefs now are, I really don't participate in organized religion. I don't go to church. I don't celebrate any of the holidays, which I think a lot of us don't do because we're so ingrained to not celebrate. My wife celebrates all the holidays, Christmas included, Thanksgiving included, and I think we all know about the unspoken Thanksgiving. Well, at least, at least East Coast, I guess, is most people don't celebrate Thanksgiving. We may cook a turkey, but it may not be on Thanksgiving. But for all the family members that are off, obviously, that's the only time that usually people get together, right? So, um, some of the things that I alluded to earlier about my issues, I guess you can say issues with the religion or things that I wish I knew then, is that uh, dealing with a mentally ill person in the family, uh, my mom, and dealing with the challenges that my family had to go through with her, always in and out of the hospitals and doing things that can rip families apart. We'll leave it at that for now. That was very troublesome. And during high school time, I had a lot of problems dealing with that. And I was out of school a lot. Um, but, I had professional help to help me with through that. So for those that, especially for our community in the black community, we shun away from getting professional help, which, for me, I just want to put it out there that that should never be a looked down upon thing to do. I encourage everybody to get help with their mental state. And it is not taboo. We need to get away from that whole connotation that if you go see a shrink, you're crazy. None of that, right? So I did go see a therapist, and it definitely helped me through what I was going through, right? So, with that said about my mom, the uh, dealing with my mom, dealing with my grandmother and grandfather, um, I would see things that I would question my mom about and say, well, this doesn't sound like something a witness would do with their husband. And that caused a little rife between, or I guess question my faith. That would be one thing that I would probably say. The school is another issue where, again, if I had known now, especially I could have went to college for free, and because I don't have a degree now, it didn't really hurt me as far as like IT is concerned. But one of the things that I know that they frown upon is college, and I think that is because you start to get critical thinking knowledge, right? You start to question stuff. If you're not a person that always questions everything, the religion is for you. If you just listen to blatantly what a person says without questioning, that's what they want. And I think for all the people that are still in there, I have almost all my friends are still in there, and which is probably one thing I forgot to mention. So I was forced out of the religion by being disfellowshipped at age 20. I am now 40 now. So I have been disfellowshipped for 20 years and have not gone back. Forgot to mention that. So for me, that's those couple of things, amongst other things I'm going to talk about too, have always been an issue for me. As you'll hear from me in the next couple of videos, hopefully I can upload on time to keep the interest available, right? But again, this is more so for me to talk to you guys about my story. When I left the religion, there was nobody that I could talk to. I started, we were ingrained not to search out for apostate type talk, and that always scared me. I always thought apostates or people that didn't agree with the religion were the devil. That's what we were taught, basically. So I started reaching out on the internet, and I found a couple of channels. The first one I actually found was JW Critical Thinker. Um, and on the top of my head, and my mind is blanking because this is my first video of the name, the brother from Bethel and his wife, Lady C. Um, they were definitely a helping hand, and stuff that's been like in the dark for me. Like in my head, I'm out the religion. I'm married and have kids, have a whole family, life, and sometimes we suppress all of that stuff that comes up or that we dealt with. And now I'm starting to see that other people had have similar circumstances and have been going through the same thing I have. And I wish I actually found them a lot sooner than I did. Uh, it's a lot different being out of religion and then you feel like you're alone. And that's another reason why I wanted to make some videos about this, because um, I know how alone it can be if you don't have another Jehovah's Witness to talk to, or an ex Jehovah's Witness to talk to, somebody that's been in your shoes before. So that is one of the primary reasons why I wanted to start this channel, why I'm making this video, why I have a series of videos, most likely coming to talk about some of the topics that I felt that I want to talk about. Um, I think as a whole, one of my oldest daughters, she's 18. She was in the religion or is in the religion, and for me, I'd rather her be in the religion to be safeguarded. Now, I say that because to me, the religion is structured, which a lot of kids don't have, and so for it to be structured, for it to be organized, for it to preach about no sex before marriage, those are things that I think will safeguard her. So that's why another reason why I said I don't bash the religion, right? It's hard to just tell somebody not to do anything, but if you're in an organized religion, you're going to meetings, you're going to correspond with other people that believe in the same thing. I think that's better to not. Uh, so for me, I think the religion shaped me as a better person. A couple of positives, like I said, this is not a negative. This is not a bashing video at all. One of the biggest things that I appreciate about the religion is that it taught me how to do public speaking. I think if I wasn't, I probably wouldn't be on this camera right now and talking to strangers. For me, I've always been an open person. I don't mind talking in front of a group of people. I actually like talking, um, which my wife will attest to. But again, my stance on the religion is I don't tell somebody, well, oh, you shouldn't be a witness. The only thing that I'll ever will tell somebody is you have to ask questions. If just like anything else, right? If you don't ask questions and you don't get an answer that you find acceptable, then it's something that should be a red flag. Um, so, with that being said, um, again, I just wanted to keep this short and just put it out there that I'm an open person. I'm here to help anybody that is going through like fading. I guess we call it fading now. That's a whole new term for me. Fading out of the religion, or I'm not here to. I don't remember all the scriptures that people use and all that. Like I wasn't a diehard JW fan, right? But I have experience with being raised in the religion until I was 20. Um, and from those experiences, especially young folks, right? Like I know there may be young folks that probably are Googling stuff because when I was growing up, we didn't have YouTube, we didn't have social media, right? So the only way that we were able to find stuff is those books that we were told not to look at, right? Now that everything's on the internet, a lot of people are probably just searching for JW or XJW or prostate stuff, or just is Jehovah's Witness religion real? I think that's probably like the number one question I would think that people would ask. But that's just my short intro. Try to keep it to a minimum. Some of the next videos I'm gonna probably try to make are talking more about myself, and some of the topics that I feel that really affected me. Probably the biggest one is school. So that may be something that I talk about next. But I just wanted to hurry up and get something out there. I see a lot of people leaving. I see a lot of these videos saying, "Oh, I'm an elder and I'm leaving the religion." And I've been thinking about this a long time, probably for the last 10 years, and finally getting down to it now. So That being said, I will close this video out. Hopefully, you will join me in my journey of discussing being a Jehovah's Witness. And I would say the aftermath, but I would say post being a Jehovah's Witness. Thank you for listening, and like and subscribe.